I really believe that what I've been preaching all week about, and probably for weeks, just scratching my head over the decision to, if you win the toss, elect to receive. This offense has been slow starting. I can understand where it might make sense with a different team, with a different offense. But with this team, I don't think it makes any sense. But opening kickoff, Jack Besh muffs the kickoff, immediate score. This game had everything: punt returns, decisions to go on fourth down, poor play across the board. And I think Brian Kelly got a little testy in the press conference. You can go watch that on TigerBait. I think he kind of rebounded a little bit, but it's obviously he's like me, obvious like me, that he's seen Hoosiers one too many times, because he gives that little bit of that Norman Dale speech every post game where he talks about this is your team and nobody's going to walk through the door next week and make things any different. And of course he said, I don't know how many times in the post game, got to coach them better. So there's a lot of things to talk about on this one. Of course, this show's brought to you by our dear friend and longtime subscriber and a fantastic attorney Kenneth P. Haines. And we'll talk about him a little bit more in the show. But I want to bring in my coworker, Preston Guy. And Preston, what's your take?
Well, for Tennessee, it is rocky top. For LSU, it is rock bottom. It was a game where LSU, from scrimmage held its own. In the box score, there was a lot of similarities at halftime. However, LSU couldn't make the plays when they mattered. And there's no better way that I can symbolize that within the box score than this stat right here. There were 4 fumbles and 6 fourth down attempts in this game. 10 for 10 of those plays went in favor of Tennessee. So big game for Tennessee. Vols take a win, and they get that electric game, their hot date with Alabama next week in Neyland Stadium. That's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. And, what's astonishing to me, and look, I admit I do not follow the Tennessee program on a weekly basis to know what they're doing transaction-wise, what they did in the portal. Obviously, they got a couple of fantastic players in the portal, including a quarterback that gets it done in a really nice way. And but if you look at the average of their recruiting class in the last 4 or 5 years, their highest ranked class, they've only had one class in the top 10, and their average recruiting class ranking is somewhere in the 20s, might even be late 20s, but somewhere probably between 22 and 30. Depending on what outlet you're going to look at team rankings each year for the last 4 or 5 years. And look, Josh Heupel's got him going. What more can you say about it? Brian Kelly, of course, gave them full credit. But when you want to talk about this, the analytics, and he's talking about when they got down 2 scores, the analytic book told him to do this. And the analytic book, what is this book? And I'm not taking shots at Brian Kelly. Is it something you can buy on Amazon? Or who's compiling? And if obviously there's somebody on the staff that compiles these, but is there somebody in the booth that says, okay, in this situation we go for it on 4th and 10?
Well, I'm gonna tell you the one that was very questionable was you're on the 13 and it's 4th and 4. That's very questionable. Now I think the other one was like 4th and 9 on the 45 or something like that.
That's the one.
Both of those are head scratching. The 13-yard one, but I mean that's 3 points. 3 points or 4 yards. Now I'm gonna be honest. I was standing directly in front of that. Our press box seat, 11-yard line, directly in front of it. I'm pretty sure I saw that ball stick in front of the first down marker.
I did too.
We'll have to see.
And here he is, Kenny Haines. Does Brian Polian make the end of the season? Both losses point directly at special teams. It certainly put LSU in a hole. And what did we say, breaking down this one? Just about every pundit all week long said LSU cannot afford to get behind multiple scores. And it happened. And look, I've seen Polian eaten alive on Twitter. I've seen Denbrock eaten alive. little testy in post game. Cobble asking about making a change at quarterback, and they just did not feel that was the answer. So
yeah,
gets a pick at the end of the game, might have made the score look a little bit better in the weeks to come or years from now when you look back on it. But maybe make that give LSU 20 points had they scored at the end, and 40-20 looks bad, but doesn't look as bad as 40-13. But
let me provide a different perspective here. Maybe play a little devil's advocate because everybody's about ready to run Brian Polian out of town. How much coaching does it take to tell your guys to lean inside and block a field goal? Not much. Do I think that's a coaching issue? No, that was just a guy screwing up and messing it up game one. How much coaching? I mean, do you think coaches really coach covering punts that uniquely and differently? No. Guys muffin the punt. Jack Besh did it. Malik Neighbors did it twice. You think Brian Polian is setting them up differently or not teaching them how to catch the ball differently than any other guy? A lot of these are just player errors. And maybe he's not doing the best job of picking the right personnel, but at the same time, you got to look at this roster. It is a bit of a hodgepodge roster that they put together. A lot of transfer portal guys, a lot of guys that are lacking some serious depth in some positions. A couple of injuries hasn't helped with that. That's your devil's advocate for Brian Polian. I'm just throwing that out there because I know no one else will right now.
Jack obviously muffed the first one. He had another one that he fair caught, and there wasn't a Vol within 15 or 20 yards of him when he did that.
That was the whole back end. Once he muffed it, they were all fair caught. They're like, just don't turn the ball over. Fair catch and be done with it, which is questionable. I mean, what does that do for your returner's confidence? I'm starting to wonder, like, man, you've got the walk-on Clayton back there returning kicks. Was it really your three guys you're playing all along, Besh, Neighbors, and a walk-on? Was that at LSU? Is that your plan for having a great kick returner? You mean to tell me Greg Brooks or someone can't go back there and return kicks? I'd like to see what Greg Brooks can do. He's got some Badger blood in him.
And here's the other part. What's the number of scholarship players right now?
I'd have to count.
What is it, like 63, 64?
I mean, guys, that's the thing we're talking about the program in this loss right now. This was a rebuilding year all along.
But what I'm getting at, whatever that number is, how many guys on this roster would you say can run a 4.6 or less?
Man, I'd have to go count. But would you say over or under 15?
There's some. I think one of the things that's missing is the team speed that you're typically used to seeing at LSU in the last 20 years.
Well, I think anybody who saw this team was bringing back 39 scholarship players was going to know this wasn't going to be your typical LSU speed team. Your LSU teams are homegrown guys, not guys you had to go into the transfer portal to bring in, which is a lot of your starting lineup right now. I mean, those homegrown, hometown boys are where you get all those guys, and you just quite frankly don't have them yet. I mean, I think they will come with time, but I mean, Ogeron left the roster completely decimated.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's get to some chats. If you guys are enjoying the show, please do us a favor. Hit that like button and share it to your Facebook and your Twitter. Much appreciated when you guys do that for us. Y'all have been really helping us each show that we do with the algorithm. I'm gonna go through the top and fly through some of these. Gary Williams, all coordinators are now suspect. I know it's year one, but this was pathetic. Mike Sullivan, as a Notre Dame fan, I understand how you guys feel all too well right now. Brian Kelly can't win a big game. Get used to this feeling, also known as BKPTSD by Irish Breakdown. He sent that note in right when Notre Dame was about to kick off, you said, Preston?
Yeah, well, I mean, Notre Dame's about to kick off in a bit, but it's like, man, watch your own football team play. But hey, I appreciate we have a small segment of Notre Dame fans now subscribed to this channel who come back every single week. I guess they love our content. Appreciate all y'all.
Just wait to that Alabama game, Connor Fitch said. We've got multiple Notre Dame fans in here. The next few weeks will be fun to watch. So Notre Dame fans are enjoying these significant I'll say significant. These growing pains that Brian Kelly's having down here. Marcus Freeman, all coordinators are bad, but great game from Tennessee.
What do you think about Matt House? That's the one that I would.
I'm not gonna throw any darts at him.
Yeah, I'm about to say I think the defense played reasonable today. They gave up 502 yards, but I mean, Hendon Hooker, man, the hype is real. I mean, those guys can move the ball.
Tennessee fans have a lot to be excited about.
Well, and LSU the defensive line got dominated today, straight up. I mean,
I'll tell you what, I've seen Alabama a few times, and look, man,
hey,
I think Tennessee can beat them.
If Bryce Young doesn't play in that game, I think Tennessee will beat them.
Well, you might be right. Let's see. Cody Quibido, any chance Butte opts out of the season at some point? He may still be high on the big boards, but these numbers can't be helping. Yeah, I don't see him.
Well, he got a touchdown today. Keep in mind, but also, do you think these numbers are hurting him more than never having played a season?
Look, he's got a whole other bag of worms that could hurt him. He's got to show that he could be a team player, a good teammate. You know, there's a whole lot of look, let me tell you something. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but when these NFL scouts come down and start inquiring about players, they do a lot of interviews. What kind of teammate is he? They'll ask assistant coaches, even from the previous staff. What did you think of him? What did you have to deal with him? And you better perform and do your best, even in adverse scenarios, so that the NFL's looks at you the way that you want them to. Spencer Prejean, the offense has no chemistry. Connor Finch, when are you going to come steal Tommy Reese from us? I can definitely let you have him.
You got to love it.
Yeah. Let me scroll down.
Brian Kelly did try to take Tommy Reese with him.
LSU beer, when ST puts you down 10-0, when special teams put you down 10-0 after 3 offensive plays, throw the game plan out the window. Brian Kelly had to try to keep possessions. And that's what he said in postgame. Brian Kelly riding with JD 5 yards this year and next. No.
We'll see.
Walker Howard will be your quarterback next year. Andy Whitaker, we didn't lose this game solely because of special teams. We have bigger issues in special teams, like lack of offensive play calling. Look, you've got the news last night that Will Campbell had an episode, and everybody's praying for Will, and they're running a battery of tests on him. Brian Kelly in postgame said whatever has gone on, they did MRIs earlier, and I'm sure they've got all sorts of specials coming through there. The initial word we got is maybe some dehydration. Is that accurate? I have a hard time believing a guy is going to have an episode, which usually means seizure, during a walkthrough on a Friday afternoon. It's a walkthrough. It wasn't a full-blown practice. So
prayers for him. And
how does an LSU football player get dehydrated with all the systems that they have in place?
Maybe that's why Brian Kelly decided to put $1 million in the bank there, huh?
Yeah.
But because that came probably right after. But I'll tell you this: losing him and losing Dellinger as you lost him in this game, it sucks. Because the one thing I've been saying since game 1. This offensive line needs chemistry. They need continuity. They need guys to get used to playing with each other. When you play next to a guy, you just know who to block, how to block them. You learn each other's tendencies. You learn to play as a unit, and that is the last thing they did. On a 4th down conversion at midfield, I think 14 players sacked. Jaden Daniels, the offensive line, just turned into Casper the Ghost because they're not playing together well. Because they're shoveling. It's like, it's like merry-go-round out there on the offensive line. There's no continuity. There's no consistency. It's just a mess. It's a wreck.
All right, guys. We do this show each and every week with the support of our attorney, Kenneth P. Haines. Let's go ahead and hear from him.
Board-certified family law specialist Kenneth P. Haines is a highly skilled and experienced trial and appeal attorney with over 33 years of experience solving real legal problems for real people, specializing in all aspects of family law, divorce, support, custody, and property. Your standards are high, so are ours. For representation in Northwest Louisiana, call attorney Kenny Haines at 318-222-2100.
There he is. He's the unofficial official attorney of TigerBait.com, and he reserves the right to think most clearly for a paying client. We thank Kenny being a part of our show each and every week, and of course a vital contributor and member of our Tiger Den premium message board on TigerBait.com. After the show, go try us out for $1. Not going to say who we're getting, but Preston's working on a big recruiting update that he's going to have a call after we end the show. So we've got a lot coming your way on TigerBait.com. Brian Lazar's instant analysis is up on the front page. You'll want to check that out. Preston's game story is up. I've got Brian Kelly's full post game up in full HD up on our YouTube channel. And you can also find that on the front page of TigerBait.com. Let's get to some of this. Yeah, Lonnie Young, dehydration can cause seizures. My only question, Lonnie, is just I don't know how you're dehydrated during a walkthrough. Look, everywhere they go, and of course they eat a considerable amount of meals in that nutrition center. I mean, they've got people on there handing water bottles and making these guys consume a lot of fluids. They've got each kid's got a plan that they start really, they've got to stay hydrated all year long. But Will is, 6'7", 330 pounds or whatever. And I mean, it takes a lot of fluids, but I hope everything's okay with him and there's no issues. But BK did say that there's nothing life threatening. So, or that would be ongoing. So we'll see when he gets released. I imagine it ought to be soon. Leonard Sarasota, Heupel, Hooker, and the Vols foreclosed on the house defense today. All right, clever. That's a good one.
A lot of puns today.
Yep. Yeah, here we go. Bill Freer, was he vaccinated? Now you're hoping a whole other can of worms. You're going to have Dr. Fauci coming here.
Get our broadcast taken down.
Yeah, Dr. Fauci's going to come in here and put you on a watch list. Fire 3449. Preston made a good point. Also down 37-7. Why not putting us in? That was I had a media member sitting next to me to my left. Preston sits to my right, and said, "What does that say about the other quarterback that when you're down that type of score that you're not willing to put Nussmeier in?"
I mean, it says that Jaden Daniels is your quarterback this year. Ride or die.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It does not matter how much he struggles. They are not going to bench him in favor of anybody else.
Joshua Forbes, Mike, you are right about Butte. Yeah, that would not be a good look for him to opt out with everything that all the rumors in the off seasons and NIL and.
I mean, because you've already had the stat drop off. That's already occurred. That's on film already. It can't really go down from here. I mean, I guess it could go down a little, but the worst thing you could do is have the stat drop off and then opt out.
Spencer Prajon says Ron returned kicks in high school. Try him. Look, there's a lot of guys. Most of your athletes return people. Even most of your DBs were return people for their high school team. They thought they had the best of everything with Malik Neighbors, and
yeah.
After what happened in the first game, that was it. But Malik would give you the speed, the threat to take one of the house, and but you got to be the first thing you got to do is receive a ball. But I tell you what is disheartening for a lot of people is special teams has been something that's been great at LSU for many years. It's never been a question mark. Yeah, there might be a play here or there. But for the most part, LSU's, whether it's punting, kickoffs, place kicking, extra points, coverage teams, it's been phenomenal for many, many years. And They're gonna keep working on it. BK talked about how involved he was today. So, American Patriot, it's not Poling's fault. They teach you to catch balls in middle school. They teach you to tackle in Pee Wee football. This team does neither.
What I'm going to put Polian at fault is not coaching the guys a certain way, but personnel selections. You mean to tell me you can't find a guy to field punts?
I assure you, they've tried everybody. I just have a hard time believing that they're just.
You mean? Okay, so you got what? 63. 63 of those guys can't return punts. Yeah, I just don't believe that.
You don't have 63.
Greg Brooks. I mean,
what do you truly have if you start listing athletes and you say, okay, we're going to try every DB, every wide receiver.
Can Butte return kicks?
Every running back, and you do something you probably did most of it in the spring. Do you kick them each 15 balls and see who cleanly fields all 15 of them?
Yeah, maybe
and then you start whittling it down from there.
I think part of it is that this is a team that they kind of put together with Scotch tape and bubble gum, but the other part of it is they probably aren't doing the best job picking the right personnel. I just refuse to believe there's not a guy who can't frickin' fumble a kickoff. It's not that hard.
Anything stand out to you in the box score that was shocking to you? That we were looking at the box score at halftime, and it was almost even.
All right, let me tell you.
And the only difference was the special teams issues that set them up.
All right, I'm gonna put it to you like this: going into halftime, Tennessee had about 20, 30 more yards than LSU. It was like 250 to 229. It made you think, well, if LSU could just catch a break and stop avoiding these colossal mistakes, LSU can run with these guys because the offense is moving and the defense is doing its part. Not in the second half. Tennessee showed it's just straight up a better football team. You end up getting outgained by about 150 yards in the second half. 502, 355. LSU only runs the ball for 55 yards. Here's what really shocks me on the box score. Your running backs had 12 carries. You had 17 yards on 12 carries. 17.
Well,
That's
when you get behind that many scores, you got to throw it every down.
But when you run it, though, you should at least catch them off guard and be able to run effectively on the 12 times you do it. That's pathetic.
Yeah, it was. There's one of the questions he was asked. In fact, it was Jacques Doucet at the end. Obviously there's a lot to pick, but he was like, how do you spin this? How do you turn this into a positive somehow? And the question kind of stopped Kelly in his tracks, but he ended up giving a pretty decent answer. But I don't know what you do as a team when they come back from meetings and, what they had to say in the locker room. But this is going to be a tough one. Now you get to go to the Swamp next week in Florida. I did get a kick on the drive in. I was listening to. I'm assuming it was Brandon Taylor. Was it Brandon with Marlon Favorite?
I was wondering that myself. It didn't sound like him, but he was definitely doing the post game. Someone was talking about it. I know what you're.
Yeah, but he said is somebody who was coached by Corey Raymond.
The double moves, right?
The double moves. Trust me, the double moves. That was interesting. Bill Ferrer, Denbrock running into 8-9 man box, throw the ball, no audibles at all. Joshua Forbes, hashtag ask Mike, playing like we played today. Are we lucky to have beat Auburn, Mississippi State? I'll say this, Josh. I think there's going to be weeks like this. You hope that you don't have many more like this, because this was I kind of halfway tongue in cheek. But that game today felt like the Florida game in '93, the cigar game, Ole Miss '99. It had some of that. Now, there's been some bad losses the previous 2 years, but that was a sinking ship, a COVID year, and you made a move. I think the difference here is though I really do believe you've got a CEO that is going to get things right. He just needs time. He's got to get personnel in here. And when he does that whole Norman Dale Hoosier speech, and he says, this is your team and we've got to coach them better, he's basically telling you we piece this together, like Preston said earlier, with duct tape, paper clips, rubber bands, and to make a go of it this season. And so another fantastic, even though it was 11 a.m. kickoff, had a really nice group of recruits there. We're going to be working on that in the next few days, reaching out to as many of those kids. But those kids, like I had a little brief discussion with Mabry Matower, the quarterback from Texas earlier. And those kids do not get fazed by a loss like that. They see the atmosphere, the facilities, the stature of the program, and they see big-time opportunities. When these recruits are coming on campus right now, they're seeing loads of opportunity, and that's what the coaching staff's selling them on.
By the way, LSU fans brought it for about 3 quarters. But then after those 3 quarters, it was nothing but Tennessee fans, and they traveled well.
Dwayne Official, why can't Kelly just roll with Nuss even though it's first year? Let Nuss learn and grow. What happens in practice? What does Nuss do in practice that drives them crazy? What does he do in practice that makes them think, no, we're going with Daniels the whole way?
Yeah. I mean, look, guys, let's talk about Daniels real quick. I'm glad we waited this long to really dig into Daniels, because Daniels isn't the first thing you should be talking about. I mean, was he perfect today? No. But 32, 45, 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception on his final throw of the game, which was kind of,
He had drops today, too.
He did have drops today. Jeray Jenkins' drop was huge.
That was huge.
At minimum, a 6-point swing. At maximum, a 10-point swing.
Right, and then they get more points before halftime, and because you opted
on his drops, though, Mike. Think about this: how many of the drops that occur are because he's unorthodox throwing the ball? He throws it weird. It's got a weird trajectory. It's a little behind, and the receivers just have to catch it oddly. I don't think that's a coincidence at this point. I think we've seen it enough. Good receivers dropping the ball. I think it's because he's an unorthodox quarterback. I don't think it's coincidence.
Well, and the velocity.
The velocity's different. Now, I'll tell you this. We talked about bubble screens off to the side, those horizontal throws. It seems like he lacks a bit of velocity getting it out there. So, yeah, it's getting to the receiver and it's complete, but he doesn't have the room to run that he should, which, by the way, Denbrock, why are you calling swing passes to Josh Williams on 3rd and 9?
That was the one that blew me away.
What are you doing? And it's not like Jaden Daniels is throwing those type throws so incredibly that you might see he wiggles and gets out of there. And it's not like Josh Williams is a Heisman back who can bust that open for 30 yards either, man. It's just, that was just poor execution all across the board, but mostly on Denbrock there.
Chip Vandalia, that was embarrassing. The Vols made LSU look like a high school team. It was an embarrassing loss, Chip. Absolutely. Absolutely humbled, humiliated, whatever you want to say at home. I want to say it was a Notre Dame media guy. Of course, Notre Dame guys are loving, piling on Brian Kelly right now, as is their fan base. But saying that was the worst home loss for Brian Kelly in his entire career, everywhere he's been.
Yeah. And, of course, another bad notch on the Brian Kelly versus top 10 teams, which has been his bugaboo throughout his career. But I don't think any reasonable fan came into this game thinking LSU should beat Tennessee. Maybe if you thought they'd pull the upset, but Tennessee's clearly the better football team.
Huey Lipsy, did Campbell have the flu? You do become dehydrated faster with any workout if you had the flu. That's good. Look, I was with the group last night, and a bunch of them are work at a local hospital. And when the word got out to me through phone calls, and we were saying, I was hearing about how there's new multiple cases of West Nile in Baton Rouge right now. What could cause a 19-year-old to go into seizure? Usually, with a 19-year-old that's in that kind of shape, it's probably gonna be the most logical and the easiest thing to figure out. So could very well be that he had, some flu, like you said, and maybe he didn't go home after practice Thursday and drink enough water like he was supposed to. Who knows? Walk campus all day, drink too many Diet Cokes. I don't know. Let me scroll up, guys, and get some of.
Got a super chat.
There we go. Andy Whitaker, big thanks for the super chat. The fans need to be patient. Brian Kelly is working with inferior talent to what we're used to. Next year probably won't be much better. Hold your expectations for 24-25. I absolutely agree. I know some people wanted to say, what year into the Kelly era would you start having higher expectations and thinking that the Tigers could be a bigger factor in the West, or by 25? Is it the new format once with Oklahoma and Texas already there? But either way, I think you're several years away. Couple of recruiting classes and some key transfer portal additions. There's just, you can go down the line. We do it every show. Two starting offensive tackles, freshmen. One of them had a seizure in a walkthrough. Garrett Dellinger, that we talked about, already with having had surgery on his hand or wrist, and was casted up. And then he's now went down, and they say that's a strained knee is what Brian Kelly said in postgame. So just there was a whole lot of everything that could go wrong in this one in the last, starting with what happened with Will Campbell last night. A lot of things that went wrong today.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Spring Hill Outdoors. I tuned in to Talking Vols stream after the game. I've never seen so many super chats. Oh, well, they are absolutely excited up there.
Let me make a comment about Tennessee real quick.
And thank you, Andy Whitaker, for that super chat.
Seriously devoted fans. For the last 20 years, that program has been doo-doo. They've been terrible. They've been so irrelevant, and still on every internet forum, every Twitter, Vol fans take over and act like it's 1998 still. Good for Tennessee for finally having a football team they deserve.
Well, look, what have we done? I've said it myself for years. Everybody says, which program's most likely to rebound quicker? Nebraska, Tennessee, Florida State, Miami, the programs of yesteryear that have been down for so long. And so Tennessee's, since about 2005 or 6, has really not been a major factor in the SEC. And so these teams, the Vol program is storied, and those teams know what they're capable of, and they support it. And they're foaming at the mouth right now. They're happy. And so good for them. Coach Heupel's done a good job. And like I said earlier in the show, it's not like they've been signed, they've had a bunch of top 5 recruiting classes the last 4 or 5 years either. They've had one recruiting class that I saw that was in the top 10 in the last 4 or 5 years. So they're getting coached up. Yeah. Obviously some key transfer portal kids, starting with the quarterback. And that's going to be a very good game to watch next week.
Tennessee's not exactly a great, recruiting territory either.
No. If you're a Tennessee Vol head football coach and staff member, you've got to get back to pilfering kids from Georgia like you did in the 90s. You got to go into Texas.
Florida.
Fulmer used to go into Texas in the 90s and get some key kids regularly, and then they quit getting them.
Yep.
They come into Louisiana and get kids.
They had a kid there today. Jordan Matthews was tweeting out, "Go Big Orange" at the game. That's Woodlawn's corner.
Absolutely. Michael Roby says, "Thanks for the baseball coverage. This year going to be nasty." Yeah, I went out Thursday and did Jay Johnson and Dylan Cruz and the new pitcher from Air Force, the 6'7" kid that LSU baseball. I think fall baseball is going to have a lot of people paying attention at LSU, but we're going to stick this show with football. I was talking about Paul Skeens earlier. Let me get to scroll down. Leonard Setasoa,
This was the comment I wanted to pull up.
is Tennessee really that much more talented than LSU right now? The answer is no. This game came down to coaching. Daniels looks like a completely different quarterback under
Well, let me ask you this, Leonard. What makes you think LSU is so god awfully talented right now? Like, what is fueling your belief that LSU has this juggernaut of talent out there? Because this isn't a traditional LSU team. This is a team that was decimated by Ed Ogeron's poor red.
there's no running back that you would
Yeah, your running back room is pitiful.
there's no running back. Your quarterbacks, obviously, we know what's happening there, and that affects your wide receivers. Your offensive line, there's nobody there that you would nominate for first, second team. Or
Your two best
honorable.
linemen are freshmen.
Right. So what are you going to
Your
have?
best defensive line's out for the year.
Your postseason honors are going to be the kids are going to be on the all freshman team.
Your best linebacker is a freshman who, for some reason, didn't play early on in this game. By the way, did you catch any reason why?
And you've
in
got
the
a walk
presser?
on. You've got a walk on from McNeese starting at corner.
You've got a walk on Clayton returning kicks for you. I mean, guys, why do you think LSU is so talented? I get it. If you look back at the last 20 years, almost any one of those teams, take a snapshot, probably more talent than, probably top 10 talent. Guys, I don't think that's the case with this LSU team. All the talent left.
Luis Ortiz says Tennessee new sheriff in town. I tell you what, Luis, I'm all for it. I would love to see Tennessee have a magical year and take care of the East. I'm not a big fan of Kirby Smart and George. I'd love to see Tennessee do that. Of course, because Florida is a common opponent, it has been for years for LSU. I think most LSU fans would like to see y'all to kick Florida down the East standings as well. Deron Dogan, the real reason Nuss ain't playing is this will be Howard's team next year. That is Kelly's guy. Nuss will hit the portal. It's season's in.
Hey, I don't think he's necessarily wrong.
No, there's a scenario there, Deron, and yeah. That's kind of my domino effect, if you want to call it. Jaden Daniels, when he signed with LSU out of Arizona State, the plan was to go pro after 1 year. And if he doesn't go pro, I assure you the quarterback competition, regardless, will be wide open in the spring. And I'm not saying that Walker Howard is guaranteed to be the starter, but that's who I'm picking. That's who I think is going to win it.
By the way, you were talking about talent on this team. Okay, I get the recruiting classes have been high for LSU. Go back 3 years ago. Look at those kids that should be juniors right now. Arik Gilbert, gone. Eli Ricks, gone. Keishawn Butte, he's here, but we see what's going on with him. Phillip Webb, where's he at? Antoine Samp, gone. Kavontre Bradford, Josh White, Max Johnson, Dwight McLaughlin, Coy Moore. They're all gone, y'all. They're all gone. So this perception that LSU's got this super talented team.
They don't.
Guys, you got to keep those guys on your roster.
You went and pilfered some Sun Belt players. You went and Bernard Converse from Oklahoma State obviously was an all-conference corner. Man, look at the injury situation. Who was your standout on defense today?
Well, Greg Brooks had a nice
for a
strip sack, but
Yeah.
that went bad for LSU. What's his name? Micah Baskerville had 15 tackles.
Yep. No, a lot of people were saying where was Harold Perkins today?
Yeah.
Didn't play a whole lot.
Bernard Converse and Brooks both had 10 tackles each. Converse actually had 11, but that's probably a problem.
I think unless there's something I'm unaware of, I imagine they felt with what Tennessee does offensively and what the linebackers needed to do to defend that offense. I think they probably felt better most of the time with the other linebackers, and that's why we didn't see a whole lot of Perkins. Nathaniel B, no tight ends. Yeah, you've only got one, Mason Taylor.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. This roster is not. And look, Brian Kelly loves to rotate running backs and tight ends, and those are abysmal right now. I mean, you do not have depth at those positions.
Guys, do me a favor. If you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button, share, hit the subscription button and the notification bell. We're loading our YouTube channel up with new content almost every day, sometimes 4 or 5 videos in a day. And we're really thankful to all of you guys who have and gals who've already hit that subscription button, notification bell for us. Yeah, LSU beer. The best cornerback is at Arkansas now.
Hey, look, I hate to tell you, Dwight McGlothern should be your starting corner right now. I mean, he should. You love what you're getting out of Fouché and Brooks, right? I'd probably take Brooks over McGlothern, but I'd like to have McGlothern and Brooks.
But he also had issues here in Baton Rouge, so.
Yeah. But look, the point is, all that talent you sign in doesn't do you no good if they're on someone else's roster.
DBs are serviceable, but they aren't what we're used to having. Exactly,
That's
Andy.
true too.
That's absolutely true.
This is not the LSU roster you're used to having, guys. I know the recruiting classes have still been there, and I know the transfer portal.
And by the way,
good.
they're going to be mostly all new next year.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. By the way, they're probably going to sign 30-plus people in this year's recruiting class, and then probably a handful in the transfer portal.
I'm telling you right now, we kind of joked about it last year in the spring, and through the signing period, it was like Brian Kelly and his coaching staff were like going through a Costco with a shopping cart and just spreading their arms out and just going down the aisle and putting everything in the cart.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to have a little bit more of that, but it's going to be more high school kids this go round as he tries to get that roster to 85. But I think there's also going to be a smattering of transfer portal kids. And I will say this, we've normally said for years, which is also why Noah Kane went to Penn State initially, and now he's here. Now, he was a part of that recruiting class with Emory and Thierry and Davis Price, and the whole thing was you don't take 3 quarterbacks in a year. Most running backs don't want to be a part of a 3 running back class. But if there was ever a case, and I said this on the show the other night, if there was ever a case for a 3 running back class, this is it. And so I think you get your Caleb Jackson and your Trey Holly who have already committed, you get them signed. And I also think you get a transfer portal running back. I think you need 3 running backs brought into the program.
Absolutely. And it's hard to do, by the way, because eventually running backs don't want to come if you have too many other guys in your class.
Kenny says, did something happen with Perkins? Where was he? He was standing on the sideline waiting to get sent in.
Yeah.
I really think that there was probably something schematically that they chose to use the personnel the way they did today. But as soon as we asked, where's he been, he got sent in there.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Well, in what point was that?
It's like all the media collectively asked that question at the same time, and then boom, hey, there he is.
Yep. Dwayne official, I think Kelly will regret not playing Nuss when he transfers. They're going to let him play. We'll see. I would not have had any issues with putting Nussmeier in.
I would have been fine with it
in the second half. Now, how early in the second half would you have done it?
But do I think that if you just put Nussmeier in, that's going to magically fix your problems and the offense is going to be better? No, I don't really think that. I don't. I don't think. I think no matter who you plug in at quarterback, this offense is going to struggle this year.
Yeah, but I just think when it got out of hand, fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, to protect Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Nussmeier could have played a whole quarter easily.
Easy.
Jonathan Meyer, we got down way too much when Brian Kelly went for it on all those 4th downs. I agree. He was the problem today. Forget the damn analytics. Yeah, I would like to see that analytic book. I know a lot of coaches share stuff. When we first started hearing about analytics, it was all about the 2-point conversion and when to look at the book and what does it tell you. And but they've got analytics for everything now. And
hey, I think part of it though, you also got to feel your team. I mean, 4th and 4, you really certain you're going to get it? How about 4th and 9? You really that confident you're going to get it?
That was the bad one.
You really? Well, I hate the other one more because you had points on the board. Just kick the freaking field goal. I hate that one more. Midfield, I get it. Now, guys, I said it early in the show. I see we got a lot more viewers in. I'll say it again. LSU couldn't make plays when it mattered today. Okay, 10 opportunities. Okay, you had 6 fourth down tries. Tennessee tried 3, LSU tried 3. And you had 4 fumbles. Tennessee fumbled 3 times, LSU fumbled once. All 10 of those plays went Tennessee's way. How often are you going to have scenarios like that where all the fourth down tries and all the fumbles go one team's way and you win the game? It's just not going to happen very often.
DBU 7, Nuss cannot overcome Jimbo Denbrock. I like what you did there, DBU.
Jimbo
Denbrock. Yeah. I saw one here. Texas Tiger. Kelly was emphatically against changing quarterbacks that Presser Yate was.
Hey,
he gave, in fact, if you look at the front page photo on TigerBait, I think that was actually a screen grab of him eyeballing Cobble.
We see things differently. Let me ask you this. Why do you think it is, again, the Denbrock offense gets off to a slow start? And by the way, in this game, you had a 12-play, 96-yard drive right before halftime. 3 minutes before halftime, you capped that off with a touchdown. And they were driving really right before halftime, right before that, when they got stopped on fourth down. Of course, Jeray Jenkins drops puts the money on the ground there with an easy catch. Why do you think that offense starts slow every Power 5 game? That's 4 for freaking 4 games. Because you're calling swing passes to Josh Williams on 3rd and 9. Get more aggressive. Go vertical.
There's no play I hate more, and it's not just with this staff. I hated it with the previous staff using Trey Palmer. You know I hate it more than anything. I hate end of rounds. There was an end around today that didn't go anywhere. But the runs on first down, they've done that most of the season. But this one, you had a little bit of everything. I mean, you could really get on here and thrash every aspect of this football team, personnel, coaching, decision-making. This one is a grab bag. So whatever hatchet you want to throw, there's not enough hatchets.
You don't have running backs and you don't have an offensive line. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily mind the running calls. Again, 12 carries, 17 yards. I don't know that I would necessarily be calling more runs, just to be quite honest, because you don't really have anybody to run the ball right now. And probably your most talented runner is a liability to fumble.
Oh, yes, great. End around does nothing if you don't set it up. I'm telling you, I would love to see every end around at LSU in the last decade, regardless of coaching staff and personnel. How many end arounds in the last decade have actually, what the average yard per play has been? I can't stand that.
You have to execute those very well. You have to have a quarterback who throws it on the money with a quick release and gets it there with some velocity to a guy in stride. And Jaden Daniels is too sloppy for that. And I'm going to be honest, none of the receivers are really playing well enough to really take advantage of that.
Texas Tiger, here's the deal. He gambles on fourth down and field goals and doesn't gamble on the quarterback. Flash, I prefer the jet sweep versus the end around. Kenny Russell, Kelly's record against top 10 teams is bad. Is that concerning to y'all, Mike? No, it's not. And I think that's part of the reason why he came to LSU. Because what you need to do, the type of players you need when playing those intersectional matchups and whenever Notre Dame would get in the playoffs or in major bowls, in order to track that kind of talent across the board at Notre Dame is a tall task. That's why he came to LSU. It's when you get to a certain level of SEC or the elite level against the Clemsons and Ohio States, you're all pretty talented. But if you get to that next level, you got to have 2 or 3 more difference makers than the other guy. And
if in 2022 Brian Kelly goes winless against top 10 teams, I don't care. I mean, yeah, you should be winning those games. You want to win those games, but guys, let's be reasonable. He wasn't handed a great situation. The roster was a dumpster fire. Okay. If it's 2026 and Brian Kelly has not beaten a top 10 team, I'm concerned.
Boy, a lot of people are down on Kelly, man. Kelly's not a great coach.
I'm questioning like what were people expecting this first year?
I totally disagree. He's got
Yeah,
he's got a lot of work to do, folks.
Well, 8-4 is still on the table. 7-5.
There's going to be there's more. Look, there's going to be a couple of games that are going to make you happy, and there's going to be some more games this season that are going to be like today.
Which, by the way, I think next week will be a game that's very winnable for LSU. That'll be a game that really determines a lot of how this season is perceived. You know, did you win those winnable games?
Yeah. And Brian Lazar said something. He goes, in reality, after today, of course, preseason, we thought, what were we saying about Tennessee? Boy, those Tennessee fans sure feel like they got a really good team coming. They sure are cocky. Well, I think after what we saw today, regardless of whether you think LSU's in bad shape, that is a good Tennessee team, and they're better than I thought they were in the preseason. And I think they're going to give Alabama everything they want.
Like I said, if Bryce Young doesn't play that game, give me the Vols. Can you imagine how electric Neyland's going to be next week? Those fans have been waiting for 20 years for this moment.
So, but in reality, I think most LSU fans that really know this roster and know the patchwork nature of what Brian Kelly's had to do to make this go, where LSU's at one-loss record right now is probably where everybody had them. You just don't like getting your ass beat like that at home at 11 in the morning on a Saturday.
Yeah, which, by the way, I just want to say all the people saying, oh, LSU is 8-0 in 11 a.m. games since 2000. That was fool's gold, y'all. Did you really honestly think to yourself, no matter what cherry pick stat you pull, because by the way, that excludes a Florida loss because it was supposed to be at Florida. They relocated it to LSU, but we're not counting that one because it doesn't make us feel good about it. Did you really think LSU was going to play better than Saturday night in Death Valley because it was an 11 a.m. kickoff? Come on, y'all.
Yeah, and there's a good chance LSU looks like they did today, and then all of a sudden does something in Florida that because what's the spread on that one going to be, right?
Yeah. By the way, Saturday night in Death Valley, Monday night in a cornfield, Wednesday night at Fred's. I don't care. Tennessee was winning that game.
Lars Corville said LSU likely 5-7.
So what? They're going to win one football game for the rest of the year? They're going to beat
UAB?
UAB?
They're going to win more than that.
Come on, dog.
I think they can get to 7.
Yeah.
What did Vegas say? They got everybody up in arms?
I think Vegas was at 6.5. Look,
initially.
I'm sticking with 8-4. You will not find anything more consistent than Preston guy and LSU is 8-4.
I was 8-4.
I'm sticking with it, man.
But I know some guys who went to every scrimmage that are former players, and most of those thought 7-5 based on what they saw. Fire 3449, hit the like button. Absolutely, Fire. Thank you. You guys hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. Thanks to all you guys tuning in and watching us here on a Saturday afternoon. And we're going to go a little bit longer. And I know a lot of that. I guess there's one caveat for this. You can kind of go take the significant other out to a nice meal tonight or do what you're going to do and push away from it.
At least you don't have to sit around and linger on a bad loss all day. You don't just go straight to bed after, right?
That was it, Texas Tiger. There isn't anybody coming through the door to help this team.
Nope.
That's it. I'm telling you, man. He's seen the movie Hoosiers, I guarantee, as many times as I have, because he does a version of the Norman Dale thing in Monday press conferences, post games. He's got something. He's basically telling you, I can't make any trades during the middle of the season. This isn't the NFL.
Right.
I can't go pick up anybody on the wire.
Which, by the way, I think a lot of the people calling for Nussmeier are just looking for that miracle, looking for that spark to all of a sudden put this team over the hill and put them in the playoff. And it's not happening, guys.
Yeah, there's not a half a dozen Jimmy Chitwoods out there that he can have on campus next week and make a go of it.
It is what it is, and I think they've done a pretty good job doing the very best they could to build this roster into what it is, given what a dumpster fire it was. What was that, 9 months ago?
Absolutely. Spring Hill Outdoors, Tennessee's like the dude at the craps table that's winning on every roll. Yeah, say that stat again, Preston, about the
Okay. So you had 6 fourth down attempts and 4 fumbles. Tennessee goes 10 for 10 on fumbles and fourth downs for Tennessee.
what was the one that they got to the quarterback and it was and it went right into the running backs.
Yeah. So Greg Brooks gets a beautiful strip sack on.
I mean, it's just like they couldn't get anything to go their way.
I think it was Brew McCoy picks it up and gets 9 yards, puts them in 3rd and 1. It's like, oh boy, this is just par for the course today. Like, can't catch a freaking break, man. All the breaks went Tennessee's ways. That being said, I think about it. Okay, so the 3 fourth down attempts, that cost LSU 13 points. I sit there and tallied it up. Tennessee scored a touchdown on one. Now it cost LSU a field goal, and then it gave Tennessee a field goal. 13 points. If all of those breaks go LSU's way, I'm still not certain LSU wins. It's a close game, but Tennessee might still win if you get 10 for 10 to LSU.
Ryan, if Tennessee plays decent defense next week, they can beat Bama. I think they can too.
Yeah,
I'm pulling for them to do it.
I agree. I'll be pulling for Tennessee, man. Look, I'm excited for Tennessee. Like I said, very passionate fans who've had absolutely nothing to pull for 20 years. Let's go Rocky Top.
Now, I will say this. What I really would like, though, is for a Vol fan to admit, yeah, man, we play that song too much.
All right, over, under, how many times does the band play that in a 4-year tenure if you're in the band?
That is all, man.
2,500.
I don't care if you're a Vol fan. You got to be sick of that song, right? Come on, man.
I don't mind it because I don't hear it that often. LSU doesn't play Tennessee that often. It's not as bad as the that we hear or woo pig suey. Yeah, there's some annoying chants out there. Rocky Top, you could be a lot worse than that.
All right, guys. Hit the like button, share. Go to TigerBait, subscribe. Preston's got something coming your way recruiting-wise he's working on, and we're going to be reaching out to a lot of the recruits that were there. And like I said, Brian's instant analysis up. I'm going to be on the message boards day and night. Well, we're going to be talking about this one for days. I think a lot of people want to vent, and but like I said earlier, you want to throw some hatchets. I don't think there's enough hatchets in the house to throw at everything that needs to have a hatchet thrown at it on this one, because it was there's so many aspects of what happened today to go around that were negative. So, all right, guys, go to TigerBait, subscribe, try us off for $1. Preston, thanks for another good post-game show. And, of course, big thanks to our dear friend Kenneth P. Haines, attorney at Law Shreveport. Give him a call. And we'll see you on the message boards on TigerBait.com. And Preston, you're back live Tuesday night. You have a guest lined up yet?
I don't have a guest lined up. So if y'all want to tweet me some guest suggestions, have at me. And
Buddy and I will be back on Wednesday. We'll have Brian Kelly presser on Monday. A lot of recruiting coverage early in the week. And I think I might even have a little baseball something coming your way with fall scrimmages. So basketball's cranking up. They had that little event last night. So we've got a lot of stuff happening for you on TigerBait.com. Go subscribe. Try us out for $1. If you're an LSU fan, I think you're going to enjoy the website. All right, guys. Good night. Y'all go enjoy a Saturday night somehow if you can.
See y'all later. See y'all Tuesday night.
Good night.